Honestly, this is getting out of control. It is absolutely getting out of control. I used to be a strong believer that it doesn't matter where you are, that it does not matter where you are, you can make it anywhere you are, as long as you have the determination to want to succeed. But I was wrong. I was completely and flatly wrong. As I'm making this video, I just lost a friend due to incompetence, due to absolute negligence. I mean, how do you run a country and there's no blood to donate? Can somebody just make it make sense to me? How do you call yourself a country and you get to a hospital, emergency situation, someone is dying, and there's no blood to donate? It blows my mind. And do you know what is more painful? This happens almost on a daily basis. And nobody cares. And nobody's asking questions. And we are dying in silence. So there comes a time in the life of a people, and you have to begin to ask yourself certain fundamental questions. And that question today is, why do we have to continue to die in silence? So this night, I have decided to make a video that normally I wouldn't make. And that video is to give you and highlight certain reasons for which you should think about leaving that place called Nigeria, if you have the opportunity to do so. As long as you can be able to afford it and you have the opportunity to do so, and you can do it in a legal way, I encourage you to think about it. Number one reason: good health. And we all know it, even as a child growing up. It was one of the most frequent things I heard, and that is wealth. Health is wealth. And you can have everything you want in this life. You can be richer than riches itself. But if you don't have good health, it doesn't matter. It absolutely does not matter. So health is number one. How can you be in a system, in a society, in a country, when you need an urgent medical care, you can't get it? I remember this happened to me. This absolutely happened to me. I was sick some time ago, many years ago, before I left that country. And I needed an urgent medical attention. And my mom could not afford the deposit, which then was 5,000 naira. It is like $5 as of today. I was abandoned. If it wasn't for a good Samaritan who lent my mom that money, this person that is talking to you today probably would have been dead. That is how serious this is. And if you still do not understand where I'm coming from, I'll make it crystal clear to you that the number one citizen of Nigeria, the president, if he has any medical problem, he goes outside of Nigeria to get help. Honestly, that is one of the most shameful things anybody could do. Now, to be fair, he did not start it. He wasn't the one who started it. The presidents before him, they were doing it. Buhari did it. But just because people started it before you doesn't mean that you don't have the capacity to fix it. So that tells you that if the number one advocate, if the number one citizen who should believe in the system does not even believe in the system, how about you and I? I want you to pause and think about it. If the number one citizen who ought to believe and be the number one advocate of the system shamelessly goes abroad to be treated, where does that leave you and I? It's a simple question. In your quiet moment, think about it. Now, I want you to compare it to being in the US. If I am sick today, regardless of whether I have the money or not, I will go to the hospital, to the emergency room, and they are going to take care of me. They don't have a choice. That is the mandate of the law. And while I'm making this video, I want you to think about two things. I know some people are going to argue that, yeah, no matter where you are, you're going to die. We are not talking about dying. I want you to think about two fundamental things. One is risk mitigation, and another one is the value of your life. How much value does your country place on your life? It's a very simple question I'm asking you. And number two is risk mitigation. You can never be in a situation in which you will never have a problem, in which you eradicate all the problems. But your duty as a human being is to minimize your risk. Number two, security and peace of mind. Security and peace of mind. Again, I want you to think about risk reduction, risk mitigation, and the value that your country places on your life. When you have a system that doesn't care about your life, a system that the president is willing to abandon to go somewhere else to get help, that means they simply do not care about you and I. You don't have to go to Harvard University. You don't need a first class in philosophical thinking to be able to understand what I'm saying and to be able to understand what they are doing. They are simply saying to you and I, we don't care about your health. We have the money. We can afford it. When we need it, we will leave the country and get the best medical treatment wherever we can. So if you like, you can carry Nigeria on your head and continue to die. It is time for you to also think about your own life. If the president, when sick, can abandon the country, go somewhere else to get medical treatment, you need to start thinking about your own life. So again, number two, peace of mind. And I'll give you two examples. I've been here for 14 years. Nobody has ever knocked at this door threatening me. Nobody. I could literally leave my window open and go to bed. That is called peace of mind. Even the richest people back home, they're not safe. Number two example that I'll give you under this category of peace of mind. Do you know the funny thing? Do you know the irony of this whole thing that we're talking about? Is that your pastors in Nigeria who preach and pray from morning to night, they don't even believe in what they're praying. How do I mean? All the pastors in Nigeria, virtually all of them, have security guard. If they believe that God could have been able to protect their lives, they wouldn't have security everywhere they go. So again, that is a reminder to you and I that there's no security in the country. So it's important for you to think about being in an environment where your peace of mind is almost guaranteed. I know some people will say, oh, even in America there are shootings. Of course there are. But again, keep in mind what I'm telling you. You can never be in a situation in which you completely eliminate or eradicate all the challenges of life. The goal is to reduce your risk. It is called risk mitigation. And the reason it looks as if it's more pronounced in America is that we live in a transparent environment. That if one person is shot, it's going to be CNN breaking news. They let everybody know. And it's getting investigated. And police is all over the case. But the same thing happens back home. Nobody cares. And that tells you that the system back home does not place any value on your life. Because that one person gets shot back home, they're moving on. Number 3, why you really have to consider moving. Number 3, you want to be in an environment that is based on merit. I'm going to say it again. You want to be in an environment that is based on merit. And this is something that some of us really do not appreciate. And I started appreciating it when I moved to the United States of America. There is nothing more painful when you have someone that you are better than in almost every ramification running the show. Imagine going to school and you graduate with first class in school, and someone whose assignment you used to help with, someone you literally used to help, becomes the CEO. And then you have to bribe them to get a job. That is tragic. So at the very least, you come to an environment that is based on merit. If you want to go to school, they look at your score, your grade, your performance, and they make a decision based on grade. If I want a job, I just go online and apply. If the requirements of the job match with my resume, I will get the job. If it is back home, I will probably have to bribe someone. I will have to know someone who knows someone. I will have to know someone who is connected to someone. So at the end of the day, you are not being judged based on competence. You are being judged based on how many people you know. And if you do not know anybody, I'm sorry, you ain't getting anything. The same thing happens in school. Ever since I came to this country, I just write my exams. And I know when I passed and when I didn't. No, I'm not chasing any professor down to buy a handout. I'm not bribing any lecturer to give me a favorable grade. But you and I know today that that is the order of the day in Nigeria. Or should I even talk about the harassment that goes on in almost all the Nigerian universities, where a professor is bent on entering into the skirt of a girl before she can graduate? We know the truth. And it's important for us to really begin to talk about the truth. So you come to the United States of America or to any other developed country, you really are going to appreciate, you will get to experience the joy of someone giving you an opportunity, promoting you, simply on the basis of you knowing what you are doing. Number 4, employment. Okay? At the end of the day, we all are not going to be millionaires. We all are not going to be billionaires. But what I have found after having series of conversations with people, black, white, yellow, green, whatever you want to categorize it, people just want an opportunity to earn a living. People just want an opportunity to make ends meet. People just want an opportunity to provide for their families. People just want a chance to prove themselves. In Nigeria, that is almost non-existent. The unemployment rate is over 60%. You graduate with first class in electrical engineering and you become a taxi driver. That is the sad reality of you and I. But if you travel, I'm not gonna guarantee that you're gonna be a multi-millionaire. But what I will guarantee is that at the very least, you will have a stable life. You will not be wanting for employment. I can literally apply for a job right now and get it. Just think about it. Even if I don't want an office job, even if I do not want an office job, I can work online. I can do deliveries. That is underappreciated back home. And there is nothing more amazing than going to work and getting paid on time. Again, personal story. My mom, my own mother, who carried me for 9 months, worked for the federal government of Nigeria. I cannot tell you how many times she came home without being paid. And I'm not talking about someone skipping your payment for a few days. I'm talking about months. I am talking about months. But when I came to this country and I saw the speed with which people were getting paid, sometimes, do you want me to shock you? Sometimes your payment will even come before the scheduled salary payment, before the day that you are scheduled to be paid. Sometimes you will be paid earlier than that. Because this is a system that recognizes that you need that money to be able to pay your rent, to be able to go to groceries, to be able to buy your children food, to be able to pay for your car insurance, to be able to pay for your health insurance, to be able to put food on your table, to be able to put roof on your head. So my dear brothers and sisters, there is nothing you can compare to a system that treats you with an understanding that you are a human being and these things are important to your survival. Back home, they simply do not give a heck. If you come to America, there's so much pride that comes with working for the federal government. Back home, it is completely antithetical. Number 5, constant power supply. I told a friend of mine something and he once laughed. I said, in America, they're working on solar energy. They're working on the best energy that has no toxicity, that has no or minimum emission of carbon monoxide. They are interested in energy that does not have adverse effect on your lungs and on your breathing. But back home, we are still begging them for the kind of electricity that the rest of the universe are abandoning. Think about that. It's like me giving you, it's like you begging me for food that has expired. I still wouldn't give it to you. Just think about that. The rest of the universe, the rest of the globe are living, they are transitioning from the traditional electricity to the one that has no effect on your breathing. But that one, the rest of the universe are abandoning. You and I are begging, yet they don't want to give it to you and I. So again, it is really sad, absolutely tragic, that we are still sitting here in 2023 talking about lack of electricity in a country of over 200 million people, a country that is recklessly, lavishly endowed with the kinds of human resources that other countries can only relate to via imagination. It is sad. I'll give you an example. When I'm in school, I literally take exams from the comfort and silence of my room. I take an exam from my room without having to get out of the house or get into my car or put gas in my car. I sit in my room and take an exam. No cheating. And I'm monitored. The camera is on me. No glitches. You know why? There is constant power supply. This is 14 years. 14 amazing, beautiful years. Light has never gone off. Think about that. Number 6, change of mindset. I'm going to say it again. Change of mindset. So many times people have asked me a question. Oh, ever since you went to the United States of America, what really has changed? Do you know the funny thing? Most of them actually expect to hear me say that I've made so much money. But they are surprised when I tell them that the most important thing that has changed in my life is the transformation of my mind. My thinking has changed. The way I process information is completely different. It's called exposure. You know, so many times, sometimes, or so many times, people think about the concept of Japa as, oh, you are abandoning your home country. No, that's not what it is. I can guarantee you this, that one of the most important things that could ever happen to you is for you to leave your comfort zone and see life from different perspectives. That, my friend, is transformational. Your thinking will never be the same. And that's why certain things irritate me now. And that's the commonality most people in abroad have. Certain things, when you are just used to seeing things done in an organized manner, and you see something else, it irritates the crap out of you. So even if you don't want to travel for other things, I really want you to consider traveling to gain exposure. And I used to tell people, if I had an opportunity, I would expose all the Nigerian youths to what is going on in a place like United States of America. And if you come back, you literally will be sitting there stunned, saying to yourself, why have we been so cheated? It will blow your mind. So that's number 6, change of mindset. Number 7, rule of law. Rule of law. If you're listening to me, I know you've probably have heard this, but you may not truly appreciate what I mean by rule of law. Any environment that has no rule of law, that environment is not conducive for human existence. I'm going to say it again. Any environment that does not have rule of law, that environment is not conducive for human existence. I'll give you an example. So many years ago, I had an investment in Nigeria. I bought a property in Nigeria. I did my investigation, thorough investigation, and I acquired a property. I wanted to invest in my home country. I paid a lot of money for it. The documents were clean. Someone came from nowhere out of jealousy and envy and started claiming the property that I purchased. The case went to court. And that was a reminder, once again, that we basically do not have rule of law in Nigeria. What do I mean? This case went to court. And this man was coming in, lying, changing his statements. But the court of supposed competent jurisdiction could not even say to him, what are you doing? Why are you lying? He will make one statement today, tomorrow he will change. And do you know one of the things that really stunned the crap out of me? I could not believe that a country like Nigeria, they are still writing witness statements, writing it on a book, in 2023. So someone comes in today and leaves a statement or witness, and they write it on the book. And you are probably sitting there and saying, what is wrong with it? Well, I'm going to tell you. During the NSAS, that court was set on fire. And the case was pending. Do you want to know what else they did? Every time they will continue to adjourn the case. Do you know what it means when they adjourn the case? It means you have to pay your lawyer appearance fee. A case that was as simple as ABCD, that even a blind person can adjudicate. They continued to adjourn the case for more than a year, going to 2 years. And that meant that you will continue to pay fees to the court, to the lawyer. If that case happened in America, so just think about it. You have a case with someone and they're just writing it on the paper. You know, when we were in school back in those days, and the professor and the teacher will be saying, Obi is a boy, you jot down. Obi went to school, or Eze went to school, right? It's like dictation, you know now, right? That is what the court is still doing in 2023. So imagine if you had a serious case in court, right? And you know, okay, these people are still writing it on paper. That's why we hear stories of people setting the court on fire. But here they are doing electronic trial. They are doing virtual trial in America, electronically. Just think about it. Electronically. But in Nigeria, we're still living in ancient time. Someone is writing what you're saying. And tell me what's wrong with that. Apart from the fire that people can set up and end the whole thing, the person writing it might not be capturing exactly what you're saying. But here you have the system record what you're saying. You come back tomorrow, they play it, you said this. End of conversation. Do you know how many people who have been taken advantage of? But they looked at the system and they said to themselves, there is no law. Some people will literally abuse you and take advantage of you and still prescribe the same law to you, knowing that it simply does not exist. By the time you look at the amount of money that you're going to pay police and the different hurdles you're going to have to cross, so many people end up swallowing the dehumanization that they go through in that country. So when you travel to a place where there is rule of law, you will understand what I'm saying. In fact, let me surprise you. In America, if you do something or you have a case where you don't have the money, the system will provide you a lawyer. In fact, in some cases, I'm talking to you about what I have seen. The lawyer, knowing that you don't have money, will sign a contract with you and say, if I win this case, I take certain percentage and the other percentage goes to you. But in Nigeria, if you cannot afford the lawyer, forget about it. All right, guys, where are we? It's getting interesting. You ready? Let's keep going. Number 8, American Dream. Honestly, honestly, this is one of the most important. And this is one of the things that make the United States of America a country like no other. Now, depending on who you talk to, some people, some school of thought, some people believe that the American dream is no longer a possibility. But I stand here today to tell you one thing, that this is one of the things that really makes this country very, very unique, is the American dream. And what does it mean? For those who don't know, in the simplest way that I can put it to you, American dream is the idea that if you work hard, if you come here and you do your fair share, and you put in the work, and you do not cut corners, you have an opportunity to make something out of your life. This is one of the lines that made Obama the president of the United States of America. When he was giving a speech in the Democratic Convention in 2008, he said, "Only in America is my story possible, that the son of an immigrant father from Kenya can be standing in front of America, running for the highest office of the land." That, my brothers and sisters, you can't find it anywhere else. I don't care how hard you work in a place like Nigeria and in most places in Africa, your chances of making it to the highest echelon is almost non-existent. Because again, it does not judge you based on merit. America judges you based on merit. Is it a perfect system? No. Does it mean they don't have corruption? No. It just means that I can work hard and I can come here. If I'm a student, I put in the hard work. And that car that you see a politician driving, you can drive it too. That house that you see a senator living in Nigeria, you can live in that same house too. It bridges the gap between the haves and the have-nots, between the poor and those who are rich and wealthy. Again, you can tie it to what I said before about an opportunity, employment. You simply want an environment that gives you an opportunity to achieve some level of success. That, my dear, is the concept of American dream. That you can come from literally anywhere and you come to this country and you knuckle down and you roll up your sleeves and you bend down and you do what you need to do, you will see the reward of your hard work. Not in Nigeria. Okay? Not in Nigeria. And let's talk about the educational system, right? At the end of the day, you want to be in a system where if you get accepted into a university to do a 4-year program, you know that it's 4 years. Unless you failed, unless you did not pass the exam. But it's not going to be due to systemic problem. But one thing I can guarantee you is that before the administration of Tinubu, there will be a strike in Nigeria. There will be an ASU strike. It's almost a tradition. It happens on every administration. It happened during Goodluck Jonathan. It happened during Buhari. It's going to happen during Tinubu. And what that does, if you don't know, let me enlighten you. What that does is that it continues to elongate, it continues to protract your ambition. Just imagine a system that is chronically messed up, that the future of the youths are constantly being played with, right? Because they don't care. And why do they not care? Their children are in the United States of America going to school. I went to Lincoln University, the same university that the first president of Nigeria graduated from, the same university that the first president of Ghana graduated from. Do you know what is stunning? Once upon a time, a senator from Nigeria came to Lincoln University, donated millions so they can put his name on the building. In that same university, there were Nigerians who were struggling to pay their school fees. Those are the kinds of politicians that are governing the affairs of you and I. They simply do not care. Number 9, you want a system. And this is very important. You want a system where you can give your children a better opportunity to out-succeed you. Someone that I respect once said that if your parents are more successful than you are, something is wrong. I'm going to say it again. If your parents are more successful than you are, something is wrong. The goal of every parent is for their children to be more successful than they were. So one of the things you are going to get when you travel to a country that is developed is that you get to put your children in the best position to be successful. Number 10, finally, number 10. You will ultimately become an asset. You will go from a liability to an asset. I've heard people make an argument. There's a school of thought that believes that some of us who travel took the easy way out. But I'm going to shock you. The money that I have spent helping people back home, if I were back home, I just do not see how possible that would have been. I seriously doubt that if I stayed back home, that the amount of money that people in abroad contribute to Nigeria, the last time I checked, many years ago, it was 1.7 trillion. I think second to the oil. But I'm going to listen to people say all kinds of things, and I'm sitting there and I'm just laughing at you. There are people sitting in that country who are liabilities. They are simply occupying space. They're not contributing anything to the system. But for some reason, they think that they are very patriotic. No, you're not. So that school of thought that believes that some of us had to travel because we couldn't take the heat back home. Let me tell you something. I was 19 years old when I was put in the plane to go to a foreign country. And as long as I'm concerned, there is no higher exhibition of courage than to allow yourself to leave your comfort zone at that particular age to experience life on the other side. And I never forget that day. My mom was crying. She was in tears. And I always say to people, when I looked into her eyes, I saw two kinds of tears. One was a tear. She was crying tears of joy that finally her child is going to the United States of America. But on the other hand, she was crying tears of uncertainty because there was a distinct possibility that she may never see me again. So courage means being able to leave your comfort zone, to grow in thinking and in resources so you can go back and help galvanize the growth of your country. And in summary, I once had a conversation with someone, and he said to me, when you look at the airport, there are so many people who are clamoring to leave. And he asked me a question: why does the government not even care? Why are they not doing anything about it? And he was surprised by my response. I said to him, listen, the government is not going to do anything about it. You know why? It is a business for the government. They are happy to see you leave. If nobody else is going to say that to you, I am going to say it to you. The government is very happy to see you leave. You know why? It's a business. When you leave, you join those who are bringing trillions back into the economy. That is the reality. And do you know what else it means? It means they have less mouth to worry about. They have less people that they have to worry about providing jobs for. All right? I know this is a long video, but I needed to address some of the fundamentals. I needed to make this video because I was so ticked off. I was flabbergasted. How do we continue to die in silence and live in a society where the people who are supposed to care and make decisions and preside over our collective welfare, they simply do not give a heck? So it is important that we continue to highlight some of these injustices and dehumanization that is being meted on you and I on a daily basis. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, this is your opportunity to do so. At the very least, you get an opportunity to be educated. In this channel, we allow people to have an opportunity to think critically. And you start asking questions. When you start asking questions, you start growing. And the quality of your question is contingent upon your level of exposure. People don't like it when you start asking questions. But you cannot continue to regurgitate the same thing that we have been fed for many years. This is 2023. I'm not looking to radicalize you, but I'm looking to open your eyes, to get you to start asking certain fundamental questions. This is our time. Thank you. God bless you. Peace out.